Welcome back to Jen's Zen here on Ottawa BuzzTV. I am Jennifer Clark. Soulful Saturday. Welcome back to our show. I am so very honored and excited to finally be speaking with Pierrette Raymond, the founder of the Women Living Fully Facebook group. And she is a transition expert, a grief coach, a Forbes executive leadership coach, an entrepreneur, business person, and a general dynamic dynamo in our community on so many levels as a mentor and a philanthropist and community builder. I'm so very excited that she agreed to co-host the September 16th event, Healing Through Grief, Transforming Tragedy into Triumph with me in Ottawa on Saturday, September 16th at the RA Center. We're excited to have her today talking about transitions, grief, moving, shifting, and all the things that happen when life hits. Welcome to the show, Pierrette.
Well, thank you, and thank you for having me. And I'm so excited for the September 16th event.
I know it's going to be great. And let's say shout out to your group, Women Living Fully, who may be tuning in, and to my group, Ottawa Soul Sisters. There's a real collaboration and synergy, even though we're very different. We work very the same. Your group in particular, tell us. I've been fascinated. I'm in it happily as a member. Tell us what germinated the idea, because it's one of the most authentic spaces for people to privately share.
So the Women Living Fully group started a couple of years ago because a lot of my clients were women who were caregivers in that sandwich generation. And they were being pulled in both directions, from aging parents to kids still at home, and they have professional lives and businesses and careers, and they were just overwhelmed. So I put the word out there, would you like me to start a Facebook group for women who are in this situation? And that's how Women Living Fully started. But it's almost like the second generation of women moving forward. I think you'll remember that from 2000 to 2008, I had another women's group. We were growing outside of Canada. It was something fantastic. And then in 2008, after Mom died and we went through a trademark issue, I decided to shut it down, went back to school, and that's when I really added to my toolkit for bereavement, death and dying, funeral service. I went the gamut, the whole gamut.
Mm-hmm.
And
but lots of loss though. So again, that's kind of why I mean, obviously everyone knows my late sister passed. That spearheaded my, wanting to support people. But as a coach myself, you do the same. We see all kinds of life challenges hit people, and there's always a kind of identity shift, a change. Why do you think people in general don't navigate change well? It's like we are inherently averse change, even though the change could be good at the end. It seems, again, for me too, we kind of self-sabotage, or we procrastinate, or we deny, or we stick our heads in the sand in different times. So why do you think we do that?
Well, we're people who prefer to do things that bring us joy and comfort and happiness rather than what's really hard. So when really bad things happen, and when we lose loved ones, or we're going through a major transition such as separation and divorce, which we're going to talk about on this, if we're going through a major career change, things are really shifting in our lives. We don't want to face the hardship. It's too hard to go through something that's hard. We'd rather have, suppress it, even not deal with it. When you and I both know that the best thing to do is to feel it, experience it, go through it, so that when you come on the other side, you didn't suppress it, you've dealt with it, you've learned from it, you've actually used it to improve who you are, to grow. But it's hard to do. It's so much easier just to say, I don't want to deal with this. Or grieving, it's really hard to really take the time to grieve. And we do have to take the time to grieve. We can't rush through grief.
And I know in my training, sort of as a transformational agent of change, healing agent, if you will, right away in any of the modalities I've had training in, it is quicker to heal it than to talk about it. It's actually faster when you know how to do it, to dive in and shift the energy, the mental, the emotional, the physical, the karmic, and the spiritual, because there's a lot of, think of the resources you use to procrastinate. Think of all the energy you use to build up that wall, or to run away, or, to check out. And instead, if you could flip that switch, which we're going to do for participants at our September 16th event, you would really see, as you say, the motivation, the movement that will propel you forward. And there's a famous quote by Denzel Washington. I know you know it. If you're going to fall, fall forward. you know, and if you're going to stumble, point yourself in the direction you want to go at least. So what are you excited about? You, again, Women Living Fully, you have your own events. People know you for, you know, your television work and your coaching and your live events as well. This event, the collaboration, what are you excited about? Because I know you have the same exact passion to help people shift, to see the transformation, to provide a safe place. Again, all the things that you and I both agree on, and that's why I'm super excited to be doing this with you. What do you hope for this event on Saturday, the 16th?
Well, like related to your first question, is we don't want to deal with grief and loss. So what happen on the 16th is we're going to help people with giving them tools. We're not taught how to grieve. We're not taught how to move through loss. We're not taught how to deal with these heavy emotions. Instead, what we do is we emulate what we see, which is go in, don't talk about it, you know, suppress it, hurry up kind of thing, right? Life is fast, fast, fast. And the 16th is going to allow us to press pause. Our lives, you know, shut the rest of our lives out for just one day. Just be present and experience what it's like to release these heavy things and have that fulfillment or that feeling of lightness, that feeling wow, this feels so good and I feel like I can move forward, and now I've got tools, and we're going to fill their toolkit on the things that they can use moving forward. And for those that are parents or even those that are leaders in lives, they can share it with others. So others don't have to suffer. Together we can move forward.
Yeah. And again, as you say, it's not just like traditional grief of the death of a loved one. I mean, although we've both experienced that, you and I know as coaches, it could be a job change. You didn't get your promotion. Your boyfriend left you. Your girlfriend left you. Your pet died. You have to move locations. Got bulldozed, or like I cried recently because there was a beautiful tree in my backyard. It wasn't my tree, but it framed my backyard, and I grieved the loss of this 100-year-old tree because it has to come down. But it changed the whole landscape. You know, it changed my view of my world. So it's not just death. You know, as you mentioned, it's separation and loss, divorce, it's bankruptcy. We've got a trustee, an accountant coming to talk about loss, and sometimes you have to do things financially. You know, as a business person, you got to do what you got to do to keep moving forward, and sometimes those decisions aren't always easy. Why do you think we project our identity on things, you know, like my breast, my marriage, my zip code, my house? You get what I'm saying? We tend to identify ourselves in the external. And when those external changes happen, you know, job changes or job losses, people have this in retirement. They could actually have this in a transition of retirement. Who am I now? Why do you think we do that? It's kind of funny because those things all will change. Well,
from the moment you're a teenager, just about, or even when you're younger, is what do you want to be when you grow up? Right? And then what is this idea of success? So as we're growing up and as we're becoming adults, we start putting emphasis on things, physical things that relate to who we are, whether it's our job, our homes, our cars, the clothing we wear, and we attach ourselves to that. So when those are taken away, we're left with, well, who am I? When someone leaves us, well, who am I? When we lose our financial stability, well, who am I? And we fail to see that who we are through all of this is our essence. And that's about the work that you do and a lot of others is, and the work that I do as well, is really tapping into who are you? What matters? What's most important? And get to that core. Then when things happen around you, you can look at them from a different perspective. They're not your identity. They're not who you are. Who you are is who you are inside, and how you are in the world, how you are with others, how kind you are, how compassionate you are, the love that you share. That is who you are, not the car, not the house, not so it's that attachment that keeps us stuck and wanting to have more stuff to show how good we are. Ourselves, and people will see that. People will see that.
Sure. There can be, you know, that there are groups where, or people that, you know, will look at you differently if you're not wearing the right clothing, or if you're not part of the right zip code, or you're not part of the right profession. And that's too bad, because they're missing out on opportunities to meet people, right? I mean, I've always taught the leaders that I coach, you know, be open to everybody. My dad taught me at a very young age, the guy sweeping the floor could be the CEO of the company you want a job from. So treat that person really kindly, you know, sitting in that room looking for the interview, and the receptionist could be the daughter, could be the wife, could be the CEO. Like, you never know. And so it's really being kind always. It's really taking your integrity and being that no matter what presents in front of you. I think that's really important. The Course in Miracles actually has a whole section. I am not this chair. I am not this body. I am not this house. I am not this job. To really reframe people about what we said is the essence, which we call the presence. And grief, because it is representing an external relationship to someone or something, we really have to reorient your person back to the self, right? We have to, where is our center? Where is our spiritual center? And I find a lot of people grieving are mourning out, and they need to take energy within and get back to life. One of the things I'm hoping our participants will do when I want you to speak to this is get back to life. As someone who I am actively grieving the loss of my sister, but she wants me to live. Like, I have a child, I have to help her children, I have a job, I have a life here. And for whatever reason, she decided to go home to spirit, and that's fine. Right or wrong, good or bad, I can ask for the unanswerable why the rest of my life, but I'll never get it in this realm, in this world. So I have to choose life. Can you speak to people, especially the groups coming, you and I know friends, of course, my own mother, being a parent, lost a child. Losing a child has its own category of grief. And anyone who tells you differently is ignorant and should not talk about grief to a grieving parent. And I get really, really kind of touchy about it, because it's an unknowable domain that unless you're in that very small group, you really don't know how it feels. So we've got a lot of parents who've lost children coming as sort of a subgroup. What would you say to them? Any words of wisdom or hope for them that they will have some kind of release or relief? Because it's going to be an ongoing thing. I personally know grief for me will be an ongoing state to experience at different ways and different levels throughout the rest of my life. And I just have a sister. Like, that's just my sister. I can't imagine my own mother. So what would you say to my mom? What would you say to all the other moms and dads that lost children?
The biggest thing that you can do is honor your child by talking about them, sharing their story, by continuing to honor who they are, even though they're not physically here in our lives. My mother-in-law lost my sister-in-law, so she lost her daughter after my mom passed away. And to hear that wail when her daughter died was the best thing I could have ever heard. And to see her grieve and see other parents who lost their child is something so, you have to be so present in the journey. You have to let them grieve. It's okay to grieve. It's okay to cry. It's okay to tell me or someone that you love, miss them. It's honest, without judgment, without feeling judged, because the pain is always there. It's always there. So, for example, we visited my in-laws for the Canada Day long weekend, and we went to the cemetery. And every time we go to the cemetery, she cried. And it's been 8 years. And it's so to let people know, no matter who you're grieving, it's okay to grieve, but it's okay to use tears. It's okay to talk to the person. It's okay to laugh and bring them into the conversation. Be gentle on yourself.
If I can interject there, just because you've touched on a really important point that I want to really make sure people at the event come to get. It's okay to have a life afterwards. Like, it's okay to laugh. It's okay. One of the things, like my mom, when we laugh about whatever, there are moments where we have just pure, not that we forget my sister's gone, but we forget she's dead. Let's put it that way. and we laugh and we look at each other, and then we both have this guilt, you know, moment that it's like, she's not here to experience it. And we go back into this, you know, place. Again, it's an evolution. I'm getting better at it. Can you speak to that? Because that's really what this workshop's about. It's okay to laugh and live and be happy while grieving. It's okay to honor your loved ones, but you're not meant to be, you know, at the gravestone mourning and crying 24/7, because that's not what your life was about. Do you get it? And it's hard for people because, you know, they feel this duty, this guilt, this tremendous wanting not to forget the ones that have left. So can you speak to the giving permission to be happy?
That comes from judgment. That comes from judging how you're supposed to do something. So when you're grieving, it's okay, like you're saying, to live. I think that's why it's called Women Living Fully, with everything that's going on in our lives. And that's why when you said that group is so authentic, is because we talk about the heavy stuff. We talk about the heavy stuff. That's life. It's not what you see on Facebook every day. It's
right.
what happens, and we talk about it. And as you talk about it, you find resources, you get support, and you live through it. So that's living fully. And it's okay to live while you're grieving. In the first few weeks, months, years, and our grief is attached to the amount of love that we have, what that person was. So, for example, you losing your sister, she was so important in your life. Your grief span could be so much longer than someone else's because of how important. But you know what? It's not about measuring either.
No, yeah.
Letting go of that for everyone. It's about letting go of, maybe I shouldn't be grieving anymore. Maybe I should be harder. Maybe I should be crying.
Right.
Just letting go of that judgment, letting go of what's supposed to happen, so that you can live through it. And like you say, it's okay to laugh. And then when you and your mom realize that you're laughing, and then you feel the sadness, oh, she's not here. You know, this would be fun to share with her. It's okay to feel that. It's okay. And then you go on. And then you need to add those moments in your life where you're laughing a little bit more, and you're realizing she's not here, but you're starting to feel like this is our new normal.
Yeah. It's the new normal. And then that's actually a phrase one of my teachers, Pete Bernard, the Algonquin Medicine Man, sort of trademarked, like the new normal. You have to learn a new normal, and you can't go back to the old ways. And I know a lot of people have shrines to the past, whatever that is, whether it's someone's bedroom or, you know, pictures, and a good cleanup, a good shake-up, you know, when you're ready, of course, is always useful, because we have to whether it's a divorce, like, you know, redoing your apartment or your bedroom, or getting new sheets, or, you know, taking down, reorienting, painting, all these things. As you know, this is your transition space. It's so important to, again, realign the energy while honoring the past. It's important, I think, for people who come to this event to, at the end of it, realize, you know, there is a new present, but we have to move forward, quoting your tagline. And even if it's just 1 inch, you know, even if it's just putting the bra on, getting a shower, you know, saying hi to someone, going for coffee, even if it's, you know, doing the dishes, it's whatever the one thing you can do in a day to pivot and point yourself in the direction you want to go. Because I know, as a metaphysical person who's someone intuitive, the deceased loved ones do not want you sad, do not want you mourning, do not want you stuck. They didn't leave to punish or to penalize the ones they left behind, whether they chose to leave or, you know, an event or tragedy struck. So it's like a double tragedy sometimes when you see, you know, grieving people stuck. They've already had a tragedy. And to me, living is the honor. Living well, being happy, being passionate and purposeful, and whatever that means to that individual, would honor their loved one more. What do you say about that?
Just something that came up intuitively is loss is not one event. The death of your sister is not one event.
Yeah, right.
Everything that follows it after that's so unknown. It's one loss and another loss and another loss, and they accumulate. That's why it's so important that when you are grieving, like you are in the throes of grief, that you honor it, you feel it, you'll go through it, you release it. I always say, do something physical. You've got to let this energy out. That's what I posted on the event page, is do something physical, because it's such an it's a physical energy from within that has to come out. Otherwise, you can get so frenetic with grief that you can't move. That's why sometimes we just would rather put the covers over our head and just forget life is happening. It's about releasing it. And every time something happens, release it. I remember when my dad died, we were having dinner with the family, and it was probably 6 months after he died. And I just realized, like, I won't have dinner with him again. And I've been months since he passed away. So I had done all that initial grieving, but here we were at dinner. So I left, and I knew I had to let it out. I knew I had to release it. Otherwise, I would not be able to sit there and enjoy dinner with them. So I left, I went to my bedroom, and I had a really, really good cry, like the big cry that's not coming out of your nose cry. And that pain of, I can't breathe cry. And then after that, once you have a really good cry, it's like that deep breath. There's a release. There's some relief. I cleaned myself up, went back to the dinner table, and were able to enjoy the rest of the night. It's those little moments you have to honor. That's what's coming up. Yourself, go take care of it, go for a walk, paint, draw, run, cry, pillows, something physical. Let it out. And you'll feel that relief afterwards.
So at the event on September 16th, Healing Through Grief, Transforming Tragedy into Triumph, we're going to actually have Oksana, who's doing emotional freedom technique, to actually tap out of the body, the grief, the loss, the betrayal, the rejection, abandonment, anger, whatever, what your loss looks like. There's going to be Sheila. She's going to be doing a Hawaiian Ho'onopono forgiveness guided meditation. I'll be doing some angelic healing, which is amazing for this type of shift as a group. Speak to this, because I know you know this. When you come together as a tribe, one of the things we said in our event page description is you and I both wanted people to know, people aren't alone. That's why you have your group. Ottawa Soul Sisters, my group, started in 2006 for the same reason. We wanted to show people there is an alternative, there is a space, a safe space to express, which is also a microcosm of our event. Tell us about the group dynamics. I know you know this. It amplifies, it amps up when you're with people who have a similar, let's say, issue or intention. And again, the intention is to shift. It's not to commiserate in the grief. It's not to have a pity party. It's really important to hold that vision of being shifted in some positive way forward. So can you speak to the group dynamics?
Well, when you feel like you're not alone, there's a sense of relief there. It happens in every group. It happens every time you're together with someone or you're in a group and someone stands up and shares their story. Someone stands up and shares their story. You can relate to something that's happened in their lives, and then you can go, oh, and it changes the perspective. It's energy, and it allows us to, if I'm the one participating, it allows me to be gentle on myself. It allows me to let go of maybe some shame, some guilt. If someone else is feeling it and they're on the other side, and this is what they did as their story, we don't feel so alone. Now we can do it. We feel like we can do it. So there's hope. There's more important than hope. When someone is, and that's what happens in groups, is we get to talk. We get to share our stories. There's going to be a lot of storytelling at the event. There's going to be a lot of opportunity for people to talk to each other as well. That there's going to be that opportunity to just feel like I love the Living Fully show just as an example, because the whole show is about talking to a woman. What's your story? What got you are today? What were the biggest challenges you've gone through? What were the lessons you learned? And that's inspiring. That's what's going to happen on the 16th. Part of that day is seeing others and also seeing yourself and knowing too. And like you said, it's not a commiseration. It's going to be a celebration. We're honoring loved ones. And we're moving through it together because we're not alone.
And the way I say it in my branding is shift together. We're going to shift together because we all have the same. To me, even though I'm younger than most people have to bury a sibling, my sister was 45, we're all going to get here. Like at some point in our lives, whether you're 80, whether you're 10, my nieces are 10, they're burying their mother. At some point though, that would happen to me too. You know, that's, and it's a place, no one wants to think about it. Any kind of loss, no one wants to think about it. But it's the road called life. And this is what I'm trying to have people understand. It's not meant to be like, oh, she's grieving, leave her alone. You know, she's in her own little island. You better, you know, I'm uncomfortable with it. Like, get comfortable with it, because frankly, it's going to happen to you one day. And people who grieving shouldn't be ostracized or put in their own corner. And I think that does happen because of the social, emotional awkwardness of, you know, not knowing what to do. What would you say, you know, any tips for treating someone who is grieving? Is there a way of supporting? I know the biggest message I could give people is don't try to fix it.
Yeah.
Because it's something that no one can fix. Even the creator may not be able to fix. So honor them and support them. But what would you say to someone? Because I feel that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this event with you, to bring people knowing that they're not alone in their grief, but not alone in understanding people. Mm-hmm. You know, that people, not everyone is emotionally awkward or, you know, unconscious, if you will.
Show up. That was one of the things that I realized when I was in the hospital. My mom was dying.
Yeah.
People show up on their level of comfort, and then you feel alone. And I felt so alone. My mom was on her bedside, and I was in a city where my brother and sister lived, and they came to the hospital an hour a day. And
oh, wow.
For me, I was like, how can you do this? I left my home from Ottawa. Here I'm in, and I was in the family every night, and it was always the same siblings that were there. Their siblings weren't showing up. And that's what really got me to go back to study bereavement and death and dying, is because I want to understand why people reacted that way. Using that, why did I show up and not someone else? And also, I want to understand what I was going through, what my mom was going through, so all those came together. But it's just showing up. It's uncomfortable to show up when someone is grieving. It's uncomfortable to be there when someone is crying. You don't have to fix anything. Just sitting with them, holding their hand, letting them talk, being a good listener, showing up by helping take care of the children. If I take your son to the park for an hour, so you can, is it okay that I bring some snacks over, or stop at Tim Hortons, I'll grab a coffee. And like, those little things really matter. Or how about I come pick you up and we'll go for a 30-minute walk around the block? Because when someone's a really challenging time, the last thing they want to do is be around people. It's the best thing they can do is get out of where they are. So bring them out of the environment so that they can experience life outside of that, change their perspective, change their physiology, change what they're feeling. Just take them out for a drive, go for a walk, go for a coffee. Something really simple. Or meet their environment, but change it up so that they're, especially where they are in the spectrum of their loss and their transition, but show up. There's nothing better than sending a card or sending a text these days. I'm thinking of you. When I know someone is going through, I've done that with you. Just a little message through Messenger. Hi, Jen. Just thinking. Well,
and you did. And I mean, that's so it's hard not to be me when I'm listening to people. The intuitive Jen, she's always on.
That's okay.
My sister wants to give you a message. So she never got to meet you, but she's sorry.
It's okay.
She's very honored that you're leading this with me, because she knows you were one of the people that showed up at the fundraiser. I don't know if you recall when my sister got Trillium funding for her drug. Her drug cost $140,000 that Trillium supported her with. That's 140,00, by the way, like crazy. The CRA taxed her $10,000 because she got income. And that took away her mother's benefits and her lots of stuff. So she had this huge tax bill while she was in treatment, and I had to do something. I didn't know what else to do, so we did this fundraiser. We raised the money in one day. People like you showed up What do you need? Don't know her, don't care. Showed up. She also wants to acknowledge the fact that during her last Christmas, this past December, we had to ask for help for my nieces, for Christmas presents, that my mom and I were literally spending 8 months in ICU straight. And these were Penny's last days. And yet it was Christmas and, you know, the children. And we couldn't organize and get things together. And Shannon from my group organized dinner, and other people donated for the girls' presents. You were one of them. So my sister wanted, you know, through me today, to acknowledge you, Pierrette, because you've always stepped up for people. And my sister's very present in my life, which I'm honored to be with her in this way. It's a new relationship for me because my sister's personality was a bit crotchety, and this presence that's with me is beautiful and elegant and really evolved. It's not, you know, it's a new person. It's like, who are you? This is not the sister that I remember. And that was her comment to me, is she was so stuck in her life and her karmic choices and her themes and the conditions of her life. She had to go back home to be free, that she couldn't shift it in this life. And I understood it. She was under great stress and great challenge. So I'm happy for her. Having said that, when I feel people that like you are who have stepped up for community, I need to acknowledge the acts of kindness are 1,000-fold. That Christmas, my mom and I were so decimated, being the two people at her, you know, room constantly, having to fight doctors, having to fight family members, and just keep paying her bills, keep paying our bills, keep the kids, you know, pretending everything's okay, and, you know, just keep going. The random and intentional acts, in your case, I want to acknowledge that, because you do a lot of secret things, Pierrette. You do a lot of things for the grace of the goodness. You don't publicize it, you don't advertise it, but in this forum, my sister wants to publicly thank you for all the things you've done for everyone that people don't know and will never know, but for her in particular. And I again want to emphasize, as someone who was there, who was eating Tim Hortons 24 hours a day at the, you know, hospital and ICU, the cup of coffee was great. The home cooked meal that someone brought in a Tupperware, you know, I would lick the bowl because it's home. We would sleep in chairs. We would be sleeping like there's no real facilities. What they provide, bless the hospital, but my gosh, it's not anywhere near, you know, comfortable. So the amount of stress that people are in those situations, just anything comforting is, or different, as you say, is really important. So if I may, your mom's behind you. Is that okay to talk about? Are you okay with that? She's handing you a pink, I want to say it's a rose, but I don't know my flowers. You know, the big bull, the big, like peony, maybe? It's a peony, a pink peony, and there's a diamond ring in the pink peony. So I really don't know what that means. It looks lovely. Like, I mean, take it. Like, whatever it is, take it and run with it, because there's a diamond ring. There's no box. It's just like a diamond ring in a pink peony. It's a very fat, either it's a very large English rose. I'm just looking. I'm pretty sure it's a peony.
Probably a peony. It sounds like it.
Anyway, the symbology doesn't quite jive for me right now, although pink is a color of love. Flowers are a color of grace. Diamonds are a symbol of a success, like a celebration. Diamond being diamond light of creator. So that also represents a power frequency. The diamond light is the ultimate light. That's why diamond's the hardest, why women love diamonds. Like, it's a coveted gem, but it's also a frequency of the divine that's a very high level one. I don't know if you had a ring from her. You should wear it. Oh, okay, there you go. So then she's acknowledging. Okay, so she's acknowledging the ring you're wearing. Yeah, so what I would do just for fun is have some more pink peonies around. If you have some in your garden, just bring them in, or go get some, or even a wallpaper, you know, like it doesn't have to be a real flower. But those usually are symbols of a frequency. Again, roses represent Mother Mary, compassion, lotus is enlightenment, you know, there's different flowers have different meanings, as trees do, as all the elements do. So it's very significant, but I would Google, I don't know enough about flowers. What does peony mean?
Okay.
Message there. And she's acknowledging the ring you're wearing. Again, probably why it wasn't in a box, right? It's like you're wearing it, that's why.
Yeah, before she died, she, I don't know if she knew intuitively, but before she died, she went through her jewelry and she gave us each something. Mm-hmm. And she gave me her wedding set because my parents split up just before their 25th anniversary. And I've been wearing it ever since with my set. And after she died, her common law shut us out.
Oh.
So we went back to Mom's home, the home we grew up in, once after she died.
Oh, that's too bad.
On the table with a picture, and we had a barbecue. That's the only time he let us in. So we've never been through Mom's personal property. We've never gone through that. So I learned a lot through that experience of how important it was. I know for you, and it's the hardest thing to do.
Yeah.
That there's something about being in the presence of their personal belongings and feeling, and then letting it go. It's hard to do, but it's something we need to do as we're letting go of the physical, let go of their physical things, that we can be in this new normal of not having them with us. So we didn't have that. So I treasure this. So thank you so much.
So maybe that's what maybe that's the acknowledgement. That's the message I did not know. See, I did not know any of that background. And if you can extrapolate a bit, perhaps she acknowledges that you got the ring, that the ring is significant, that don't worry about the other minutia, like whatever was kept away, locked away, you know, prevented. She acknowledged you, and you have this diamond, like you have this essence, and it's important to her, and it was important to her then, it's important to her now. So it's almost like saying, you know, don't sweat the small stuff, let them have the pots and pans. You got the goodness and her love. Again, it's not about stuff. Deceased loved ones do not care about stuff, but we do as mementos, right? I'm wearing my sister's clothes and shoes, and every time, not in a weird way, people are worried sometimes about me. I'm like, no, this is an honoring. This is not like I'm not trying to be her. We're very different people, but it's a piece of her.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
good to wear something. Well, thank you for that. Thank you, Penny.
Well, yeah, and again, thank you, just in general, thank you. So for more of this intimate conversation, you know, please buy a ticket to our Healing Through Grief event. It's a live event transforming tragedy into triumph on Saturday, September 16th at the Ottawa RA Center, 9 to 5. Tickets are on sale now. It's $99 with HST. I think it's $111 for lunch. 8 hours of transformation for a 1 hour session. It's an amazing deal. Pierrette and I really are honored to welcome you to come. It's open to men and women. Can we just talk about that? Because, you know, you typically and I typically, our industries are women, but I get a handful of men every time, and I want to really make sure that people acknowledge and recognize that it's going to be open to anybody, because grief does not discriminate. Challenge and loss does not discriminate. And there's nothing that we're doing that is specific to women in this event. While we do process differently, I just want to acknowledge that we are open to conscious men and heart-based anybody that needs some help shifting.
Yeah, because men need to be there too.
Exactly. So any last words before we sign off, dear Pierrette?
I'm looking forward to this experience with you. I'm looking forward to this experience with everyone who's going to say yes to themselves, because this is a yes opportunity. This is yes to you, yes to the rest of your life. This is saying yes to being with others and moving through, looking forward. So it's about letting go, forward, and move forward. I can't wait. It's going to be a great day. Great day.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Pierrette. For more about Pierrette Raymond, you can go to pierretteraymond.com. Please check out her Women Living Fully group. It's a women's only group on Facebook, but please check it out. And again, tickets are on sale for Healing Through Grief. The link will be on this webcast. Pierrette Raymond, thank you from my heart to yours. I look forward to shifting and leading and walking the path with you once again.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Everyone have a soulful Saturday. See you next time on Gen Zen. We'll be interviewing Diane Valaket from the Separation Divorce Center and Anne Perot from Perot Associates, who helps people through bankruptcies, commercial proposals, and financial shift so that they can feel free once again. See you next time.